Good morning, everybody. This is our February meeting of our Houston Chapter Citizens Climate Lobby, and welcome to new members and volunteers from other chapters. For example, the Woodlands, there's a good contingent of you this morning, so thank you for coming. And for the agenda today, we're going to have our guest speaker, CCL volunteer John Glover, and he's going to be talking about the topic of climate feedback. I'm sorry, climate feedback loops, which is actually something very interesting. And after he finishes that, we'll have some various miscellaneous topics we'll get into. We'll go through our status reports from our 5 lever leaders, and then we'll do a meeting wrap up. Before we get started, we always tell everybody who's there in person, if you want to be able to have access to our slide deck, which has other web links, you can scan the QR code. And we also have the short bit.ly web link here. So I'm just going to pause to make sure that you can either snap a picture of that QR code with your phone or get the web link. I'll wait here for a minute or two.
Reading down the QR code.
You're drawing it.
No, it's writing. It's code. Can't read it.
And I'll go ahead and put the web link in the chat also. Let's see. I do hear some background noise. I'm going to start putting more people on mute there. Let's see. Looks like we're good with that. All right. And so John Glover, if you're ready, I'm going to stop sharing now. And please go ahead and start with your presentation. Okay. All right.
On the Zoom meeting again. So we're on Zoom. I can't get off.
There we go. Finally,
right.
things.
Well, did you want to continue or do you want me to proceed?
Proceed right now.
Okay. All right. I'm going to get going here. So here we have some miscellaneous events coming up that we wanted everybody to be aware of. This is the information about our next upcoming Cocktails and Conversations event, which is, of course, it's a remote event and it's bring your own cocktails, but we'll bring the guest speaker, Madeline Para, and the date for this is February 24th, 4 p.m. The topic is deep canvassing and how it applies to CCL. So if you're available, it's a great event to join. All of our Cocktails and Conversations have really interesting speakers and good discussion. And then the next item, some good tabling opportunities. And Roseanne, I think this is yours. If you wanted to talk more about that, let me allow you to come off mute. Second.
Okay, here we are. Yes, well, the more the merrier. We're always, this is our tabling events. We will be meeting up, and the more people that can come, the better. We will be sharing the table with Wilderness Society. Dan, you're on with us. Oh, we're talking about the Nature Fest at Jesse H. Jones Park, March 2nd from 10 to 2. And the Wilderness people are bringing a mascot, and we have our usual fun things for kids, and as well as everything else. Dan, do you want to say anything?
Oh, just that you already mentioned the Houston Wilderness. They're coming out. They may join us, or I'm not sure if they're going to have their own table.
No, we're sharing a table, but it's the situation of the more the merrier. So then the next one, I know it's during the time of the Earth Day, that's very special to the Houston people on Saturday. But before that, on Thursday and Friday, we'll be tabling at the Feather Fest in Galveston, hopefully to bring new members to our group. Just like last year, we brought 15 members to Houston alone. And we had people sign up from all over. It was It was really a fun deal. I did go ahead and make a video about that. If you're interested, I can put the name of it in the chat so you can see the community comments from the video last year. Anyway, I'm hoping to get some people from Houston down to Galveston to help us, even though I know there'll be a big day for the Houston people on Saturday. Thursday and Friday and Saturday, those are the days we're tabling. Very friendly group.
And it's at the Railroad Museum.
Yes, it's at the Railroad Museum, like last year. Yeah.
All right, thank you, Roseanne. Good information.
And there's a lot of neat displays there, environmentally oriented. And they have things for sale too. A lot of birding paraphernalia. If you're into
They
that.
had very good donuts nearby.
Oh, I didn't get a donut.
What's that?
Oh, for sale.
Yes, very good donuts nearby.
Oh yeah, the donut shop. You talk about the donut
Yes.
shop. Okay, never mind.
Anybody who comes down from Houston, we will be buying you a donut.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to move on to the next item now. And has Leo joined? This is about composting. Leo had wanted to join and talk about his composting that's coming up. Leo, are you out there? Okay, I'm going to keep going. Maybe he'll join a little bit later. Okay, next. I have to move this out of the way. This is annoying. Okay, so at our last month's meeting, there was a question. What happened to our CCL monthly calling campaign? If you may have noticed, that's no longer active. And so you may be wondering about that. And so I had to look into that because I also was not really aware of what happened. And so what's happened is that our CCL national team has now replaced the monthly calling campaign with a new program, which is called the CCL Climate Action Program. And so the way this works is that there's actually no calling involved, but they will be sending out periodic emails that are referred to as action alerts. And so here, this is just a reminder to check your inbox for your email and look for these alert messages that are coming from the CCL national team. And then to please take any requested action that they are requesting, which is typically sending emails to our elected representatives on various topics that we're concerned about. And we've included the web link here if you want to get more details. And remember that I did put the the web link here to the slide deck in the chat, and hopefully you got the QR code for that. Okay, I'm going to continue on. Another event that's coming up in March is the CCL National Conservative Climate Leadership Conference, and we wanted everybody to be aware of that. This is an event that'll be happening in Washington, D.C., March 19th and 20th this year. And again, we have a web link if anybody's interested and would like to get more details on that to head to Washington for that. Okay, I'm going to pause here. John and Dory, are you guys ready to start the presentation? I'm going to unmute you.
Okay, Joe, stop sharing and he's ready. Fingers crossed.
Okay, perfect. I will stop sharing.
Go back
now.
where you were. Go back to this meeting over here. Come over here, right there. And then go down, share screen. And then click on that and then say start. Right there, start. Now, just and now press go. And go again.
Can you hear?
Yes.
Earth is warming, caused by the burning of fossil fuels like oil, coal, and natural gas, filling the atmosphere with heat-trapping gases like carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, at levels humans have never seen before. As the world debates how much more warming the planet can take,
I have one here.
1.5 degrees Celsius, 2 degrees Celsius, the climate crisis escalates.
The problems are that the world is becoming too hot for the present distribution of people, agriculture, human welfare, and human interest. And it's getting worse.
But it's more than our emissions heating the globe. Something else is at work here. The rising temperatures are setting in motion Earth's own natural warming mechanisms that then feed upon themselves. George Woodwell, a distinguished scientist and a lion of the environmental movement, has been sounding the alarm about them for the past 50 years. In a 1989 Scientific American article, he wrote that warming caused by human activity, rapid now, may become even more rapid as a result of the warming itself. 30 years later, climate activist Greta Thunberg repeated his warning, calling them irreversible chain reactions.
The popular idea of cutting our emissions in half in 10 years only gives us a 50% chance of staying below 1.5 degrees and the risk of setting off irreversible chain reactions beyond human control. 50% may be acceptable to you, but those numbers do not include tipping points, most feedback loops, additional warming hidden by toxic air pollution, or the aspects of equity and climate justice.
So what exactly are irreversible chain reactions? What scientists refer to as feedback loops.
A feedback that everybody is familiar with is an audio feedback, where if you put a microphone too close to a speaker, you get this terrible high-pitched screaming. And that happens because the sound comes out of the speaker and it goes back into the microphone. That's called a positive feedback because it amplifies the loop.
Instead of the guitar, emissions from fossil fuels are the input which add heat-trapping gases to the atmosphere, raising Earth's temperature and setting in motion self-perpetuating warming loops. Warming as a result of the warming itself. That ever-growing screeching noise is an apt analogy for the damage that human-caused feedback loops are wreaking on the planet. Scientists have identified dozens of feedback loops already in motion. It's imperative that we understand them if we're going to solve the climate crisis. As the climate warms, forests, once removers of carbon, release it back into the atmosphere as carbon dioxide, or CO2. Frozen ground in the northern hemisphere thaws and emits CO2 and methane. These are the kinds of feedback loops that lead to further warming, triggering the release of even more heat-trapping gases and raising the temperature even higher. In this series, we will highlight 4 of the major feedback loops impacting climate. The melting of sea ice in the Arctic Ocean, increased drought and fires in the world's forests, the decay of organic matter from permafrost thaw in the northern hemisphere, and disruptions to the jet stream and our global weather. Each amplifies warming, and combined, they are spinning out of control. If we take action now, we could slow, halt, or even reverse them before it's too late. If we don't, the planet will reach a tipping point where we will lose the world as we know it. And what does that tipping point look like?
A simple example of that would be if you push a ball up a hill, at some point you're going to get to the top of the hill and it's going to roll down the other side. There are some things like that in the climate system where it's really hard to get it back once it's rolled down to that other side and now it's sitting in a new valley.
With more than 7.5 billion people on Earth, a change this great would spell catastrophe. Humans are well suited to the world we've known. The sun's radiation passes through atmospheric gases, primarily oxygen and nitrogen, to the Earth's surface. Some radiation is absorbed by the planet and the rest would bounce back to space, if it weren't for a tiny percentage of gases like carbon dioxide, methane, water vapor, and others that trap heat and warm the atmosphere. These heat-trapping greenhouse gases make up less than 1% of the total atmosphere, but they are essential in regulating the temperature. Without them, we would freeze, but too much of them would overheat the planet. Both are possible and have happened in Earth's geologic past.
So the kinds of things that keep climate scientists awake at night stem from their familiarity with the geological record that shows that the climate is capable of very abrupt changes. There are feedbacks operating in the climate system that may temporarily go out of control, if you will, and drive the climate to a different state. We cannot rule out that we may be in for such an abrupt change. So we don't fully understand them, but we worry about that a lot.
These radical changes include extreme temperature swings. During periods known as Snowball Earth, it got so cold the planet was covered completely in snow and ice. These alternated with hothouse climates, when virtually all the ice melted. Dinosaurs lived at the poles where forests and swamps flourished. These abrupt shifts were caused by complex global processes. This is the first time that humans have been responsible for an abrupt change. Today, Earth would naturally be in a cooling trend, but because of human activity, it's not.
We know from paleoproxy records that the Earth has been cooling for about 7,000 years. We recovered from the peak of the last ice age, which was about 22,000 years ago, went up, and it's been slowly cooling until about the time of the Industrial Revolution.
At that time, humans began emitting vast amounts of carbon dioxide. Since then, the atmospheric content of CO2 has gone from 280 parts per million to over 400 today, and could approach 800 by the end of the century. Of all the carbon dioxide humans emit each year, oceans absorb about 1/4. Plants take up another quarter, and the other half stays in the atmosphere, accumulating over time and raising Earth's temperature. But the percentage nature removes is shrinking every year as forests are destroyed and oceans warm. Scientists estimate that doubling CO2 from pre-industrial levels could produce an increase in temperature of up to 8 degrees Fahrenheit, resulting in the deaths of millions of people and the loss of countless species. It's this human-caused warming that's kicking off Earth's natural feedback loops and heating up the planet further. National Medal of Science recipient Warren Washington, a groundbreaking climate pioneer, began creating computer models in the 1960s to predict the future of atmospheric warming and the role feedback loops play.
The question always was, how do we see the feedback mechanisms working realistically? We really don't know if we got the right amount of feedback in our models, because they're so complicated in many cases. We had to do a lot of experimenting.
That experimenting, coupled with observations, paid off. Because of that groundwork, today's models have more accurately predicted what we're seeing today and what our future holds. This kind of research is crucial to understanding the policies we need to implement to avoid disaster going forward.
Climate policy really should be designed to avoid crossing the important thresholds, avoid crossing the important tipping points, and avoid setting off these important feedbacks. Because we need to essentially ask the question, how much warming is okay? Is 2 degrees okay? Is 1.5 degrees okay? We really don't know the answer to that very well.
And yet we continue to add more heat-trapping gases to the atmosphere, setting off irreversible chain reactions.
Where we are now is like driving in a car in a dense fog, and there's a cliff out there somewhere, but you don't know where. Do you want to be going 60 miles an hour, or you should be going about 10 miles an hour?
Today we have a choice. If we take our foot off the accelerator, stop deforestation, and regreen the Earth, we can reverse the feedback loops and begin to cool the planet.
And the solution is to make that transition away from fossil fuels and into a new green Earth. And it really does require a green Earth.
I'm encouraged by the fact that other countries have decarbonized their electricity sector in 10 to 12 years. So I know we can do it, and those countries that did it, by the way, grew their economies rapidly while doing it. But we have to put the incentives in place.
Even with meaningful incentives, it's going to take a while for the climate to recover.
Even if we stopped emitting carbon right now, it will take thousands of years for the system naturally to go back to what was before we started messing around with it. If we keep going industrially at the same rate we are now, we will have succeeded in roughly tripling the carbon dioxide content of the atmosphere over its pre-industrial value by the end of the century.
We have the technology and knowledge to solve the problem, to stop and reverse the feedback loops. But we need leaders who understand the urgency of getting it done, and an energized public to advocate for change. It's not going to be easy. We've let the problem go on too long.
That isn't to say, though, that we shouldn't do everything we can possibly do to slow down our emissions, because we'll make it that much better for our kids and grandkids in the future. The problems won't be quite as big, the warming won't be quite as strong.
The Earth will be just fine. We may take along with us, unfortunately, lots of different species, but there have been catastrophic extinctions of species in the past. I'm not worried about the planet, I'm worried about us.
Every great change throughout history has come from the people. We do not have to wait. We can start the change right now. We, the people. Thank you.
Go ahead, John.
Okay. What I recommend, we've lost some time here, so I'm not going to try it. What I was going to do is show the second video, which is this was the general introduction video, and then it's followed by there are three more, and one of them that's particularly relevant to us is the one on forests, because of the, CCL now has their what a policy agenda, 4 different major policy agenda items, and one of them is healthy forests. And so it's really interesting. I recommend everybody listen to go to this same place and go to the second video and see the one on forests. I think it's really important. Another point I wanted to make is what's really important about that, we have all sorts of models of the climate. And one of them that I work with, is with Climate Interactive. I run the En-ROADS Climate Simulator. And the problem is these simulators don't work if you reach a singularity. If you reach a point where everything goes to infinity, then you can't simulate past that. And so there's all sorts of stuff that we don't know. We just don't know what the problem's going to be if when we start reaching some of these runaway points. Okay, anybody, any other comments people want to make?
John, I have one feedback. I know that there are other videos in the series, and maybe you can just give a brief summary of what the other videos are and what they contain.
If I remember, one of them is the atmosphere. You know, I can't remember exactly what they are there, but if you go to Feedback Climate, what is it? feedbackloopsclimate.com. They're all just right there, and you can see them.
Yeah, they're also all on YouTube as well. If you go PBS feedback loops, there's several different ways you can get to them.
Yeah, that in fact, you end up going to YouTube I believe if you go to the
right. You go to YouTube and then just put PBS climate emergency feedback loops, and it'll take you to the 4 different episodes. And I remember one's albedo, one's has to do with the polar situation with the permafrost thaw, and
right.
And I'm trying to remember what the other 2 were. Forests, and then
One
there's
of them's forest.
one I can't remember.
Well, it's atmosphere, I believe. It's atmospheric rivers and stuff like that.
They're all
Bottom
excellent.
line, bottom line is it supports our work in being advocates for the climate, and it is supposed to energize us to do our lobbying work vigorously and live more.
Yeah, and on the forestry one, what I felt coming away watching it was that we know that it's healthy forests is one of the agenda items that CCL has raised in importance. If you look through their brief description of that agenda item, it talks about the things that we can do. Important. So what this video does is tell you why you really want to do it. It's the real why. You say, oh, that's why we want to do that, because we have 3 major forests: the boreal, the temperate, and the what's the other? Anyway, these forests are they're just incredibly important for the health of the planet, and so if you watch this video, you'll understand why you need to. If you aren't big on a carbon price, you can get into forests by as a different of a policy agenda.
Speaking of carbon price, Joe, are you going to talk about the Houston Chronicle article that CCL was front page on?
It's not on my agenda today, but if you would like to, please go ahead.
I just thought it was great. For the first time in I don't know how many years, we were quoted for front page as this is one of the solutions, putting a tariff right on carbon and keeping up with our European markets. Anyway, that's all I have to say is that that's progress.
What day is it?
It was sometime this past week.
Oh.
There was a quote from the national CCL.
Let me just add a little bit more info on that. So everybody here receives the weekly newsletter from CCL National, and they always have a really good current information, and that's where they highlighted and gave the details of that that article that was in the Houston Chronicle in this week's weekly update from the CCL National team. Should be in your inbox. I want to go to Marco. Marco, I think you were trying to say that you had some feedback or some questions. If you do, please come off mute and go ahead.
No, you said when you were responding to the video that you had feedback about it, and I was just making a joke. Feedback, haha. All right, please go on.
Got it. All right, thank you. And Roger just put some info into the chat about the cocktails and conversation. Roger, do you want to come off mute and talk more about that?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I think, Joe, do you use the CCL Texas or Mississippi login?
The one that we're on now is the Texas Zoom line.
Okay, so we typically use either the Texas or the Mississippi. However, the last cocktails and conversation we had a Zoom bomber and which was an interesting experience. And apparently CCL has not had that happen for several years. So we were the very lucky recipient of that. But anyway, so Susan Adams is going to help me set it up differently this time. I don't know. She may have sent me the updated information on Friday. I haven't been on my email for a day. So it's going to be coming out soon. What you should look for is that I typically put it out on in the forums a couple weeks in advance. So that's early next week. I hope to have that out, save the date. And then I send it out by email to the Houston chapter and the Woodlands North Houston chapter and others across the state. So that I usually send it out a couple of days before, so that you'll see that on a Thursday going straight to your inbox. So keep an eye out for that. And that's it. And I think you probably already talked about it. I'm sorry I got home late, but yeah, Madeline Parr, it should be a really good one. So once again, please attend.
Thank you, Roger. All right. Does anyone have any other feedback about the presentation from John? If not, I'm going to continue with the agenda. Okay, I'll share my screen. And I do want to just go back up to where I was. I skipped over. Let's see. We were waiting for Leo to join us, and I don't think he joined. But I'm just going to go through his slides he provided and let everybody know about this. So last year, we had an excellent presentation on composting by a man named Leo, who's up in the Woodlands, I believe. And it was one of the most interesting presentations I think we had all year. So he wanted to point out to us that there is some special event coming up in regard to composting, and the details are here. I'll just read it because I'm not terribly familiar with it. But this is from the City of Houston Solid Waste Management Department. They've launched a free compost pilot program, and that's running between January 22nd and February 29th. So there's actually only another 1 or 2 weeks before this ends. And any food scraps people have, and then he gave some examples here: fruits, vegetables, meat, fish, dairy, etc. All of that material can be brought to a facility and turned into compost. So we have 4 slides here. I'm going to go on to the next one. So here are the 2 locations. Actually, it's 4 locations that he's listed. One is called the Kashmir Multi-Service Center on Lockwood Drive. There's another one, the A-Leaf Neighborhood Center on Bel Air Boulevard. There's Acres Home Multi-Service Center, and then Sunnyside Multi-Service Center. So 4 locations, and hopefully one of those is close enough to you that if you have any food scraps or waste, you may want to try out this free drop-off. Going to the next slide. So again, what can I compost? And some lists here of food and non-edibles. I'll just leave that on the screen for a few minutes.
And then I'll Joe, is it drop off or do they pick it up?
Now this is drop off. I'll go back to the previous slide, and this lists the 4 specific drop off locations, along with the days and the times when they're open. Okay, and then some items that are not accepted, and then these are listed here. So again, all these details are in our slide deck, and if you have the QR code and the web link, you have access to that if anyone is interested. Any questions on this? I'm not sure if I can answer, but if you have any questions, go ahead and shout them out.
I have a question. Do you get the compost back so that you can use it in your own yard, or what happens to it?
That's an excellent question, and again, one that I don't know. I'm thinking that it'll stay there, because the way that Leo explained this when he was here last year, it takes a long amount of time for the scraps to decompose into the compost. And so I don't actually know how that program is run, whether you can pick up compost while at the same time you're dropping off. I just don't know.
Okay.
But if you're interested, maybe just drop by one of these during the days and times that they're open.
Some of my neighbors are paying for a service that will pick up and return the compost to the person who donated it. So, but it costs, and this sounds like it's free. So.
Yeah, this is a free trial period. And let me go back to the first slide. And again, this free trial period will end on February 29th. So it's just 1 or 2 more weeks left to try it out. All right, so that's all I know about it, but it's something that's worthwhile. And by all of our efforts at composting, that does help with our climate advocacy because it's reused and not being wasted.
Joe, this is Roger.
Yeah.
I have his email address and his work cell. I would suggest you don't call his cell, text him if you have any questions, but I'll put it in the chat.
Okay, thank you, Roger. And he was supposed to attend this meeting today with us. He said he would be attending, so I'm not sure what happened, but anyway, good information I wanted to pass along. So I'm going to continue back down to where we dropped off or left off here with our status updates. This is our lobby team update, which is normally presented by Judith or Ginny, and I didn't see either of them on today's meeting. But just from a high level perspective, for those that are new or have not attended a meeting before, the act of lobbying our elected representatives is one of the most important things that we do as an organization with Citizens Climate Lobby. And so at a minimum of once and sometimes twice a year or more, we do schedule meetings with our elected representatives in the Houston area to meet with them and to share with them the ideas that we have on solutions that can help solve the climate problem. And the way we do that is that we have specific volunteer members that we refer to them as liaisons. They are our primary contacts with each of our local representatives. And then around that liaison, we form a lobby team made up of typically 4, 5, 6 or more people that jointly work together to prepare a presentation and then to actually meet with our representative or people from that office. If anybody is interested in it, at the bottom of this slide are the email address for Jenny and Judith. And it's something that's really worthwhile, and just drop an email to them.
Joe, can you go back up one slide? Can you go back up one slide?
Sure, I'm
Just
there.
the ones in dark. Representative Al Green, Texas 09, and Representative Michael McCall, Texas 10, and Representative Brian Babin. Those are ones where we need a liaison. So if you say, I want to get involved, you don't even have to be from their district. It would be great if you were, but just that's a particular need we have right now.
Thank you, Dory. Okay, going back down. So Judith included some additional special things coming up. The item at the top is our summer conference, which is always in Washington, D.C., scheduled this year, June 8th through 11th. And there's the web link to get more details on that and to register if anybody's interested in going with the large CCL national group to Washington, D.C. And then on the bottom, planning semi-annual new members orientation. This is something that Judith is planning to occur sometime in April and October to just let people know about how the lobbying activity works for people that are interested, and to get them plugged in and actively contributing. Any questions from anybody about lobbying and what's coming up? Okay, I'm going to go on. Okay, in court, our grass tops team.
Hello, good morning, everyone. I am the lover leader for the grass tops, and our grass tops efforts help to get us to our goal to getting people and community leaders to understand the importance of climate initiatives like climate pricing. And so this is just another part of this climate advocacy. And So here, what we're doing locally is we, throughout the greater state of Texas, are focusing on our state representatives. And so later this month, we are anticipating having a discussion with State Representative Penny Morales Shaw. And she has already endorsed our initiatives for carbon pricing, but we want to continue to have that conversation. So we, CCL, knows how to help support our state representatives and leaders. There are other, as you can see here on the screen, entities that have provided endorsements for carbon pricing. And so if you have any ideas for organizations or businesses that can help lift our voices for our climate advocacy, we can discuss those. You can email me, and we'd be happy to have a conversation about that. And that's about all of the updates I have. At the end of the month, I am going to a Texas Climate Jobs Project is having a like a dinner and learn event that I'm going to. And so I'm hoping that they might be a nice avenue for at the grass tops level, introduce me to some other entities that could help us with our advocacy. So that's the update I have for y'all guys this morning.
Thank you, Court. If anybody is interested in working on the grassroots team with, the grass tops team with Court, her email is right there at the top, and just please reach out to Court directly. Okay, I'm going to move on. Grassroots with Mark.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Well, welcome everybody. We have three guests today here in our actual meeting at Dory's Church. So welcome. Grassroots, this is where we try to reach out to the general public in our Houston community. And one of our big events is coming up in April. It's the third Saturday in April. It's Earth Day on Discovery Green from 12 to 5. And it's not only a great opportunity to share what we're doing with people from the community. We're walking around Discovery Green and going by our tent with our volunteers there, but it's also a great opportunity to get to know each other as we sit there or stand there and wait for people to come by. So yeah, kind of a community building as well as outreach to the community. I know that seems like a long ways away. If you are interested though, we would love to have you join. You don't have to stay the whole time. If you want to stay an hour or two and just see what it's like, I encourage you to get in touch with me and we'll figure out a schedule where everybody can kind of even it out. Let's see, as far as outreach, there's a Catholic organization. I know Roger's familiar with it, Laudato Si, and I've been communicating with the coordinator. Her name is Maria Trevino. She is interested in doing some presentations to parishes, and what she brought up to me is, do I know of any green jobs that she can talk about? Because she's all over the state, or she's covering the whole state. But if anybody has any ideas in the Houston area of green jobs that are either projected or actually happening, please let me know and I can pass that on to Maria. I haven't done any research yet, but I'll just ask if anybody in the audience today knows of anything.
Do you
Yeah,
want
Mark,
that feedback now? Do you want that feedback now or in the chat or what?
You can give it to me now.
Okay. I've been posting a fair amount to this group. There's a group called Greentown Labs. It is a climate tech startup. They have offices in Houston and in Boston, near MIT, and they have 300 clean tech 300 clean tech startups. Some of their anchors are Mobil, Exxon, Chevron, Microsoft, Amazon. I mean, they have a huge presence in all these startups, 300 startups. Last year, they got $200 million worth of venture capital. Okay, so there are jobs available. And there's a thing called, if you go to their website, it's greentownlabs.org. You can see that I think there's an upcoming thing on what's called the Houston Tech Rodeo. It's going to be for like 4 days in February. And this is where you network. This is where small companies, startup companies, incubators are doing all kinds of clean tech stuff right now in Houston and in Boston. So anyway, highly recommend you check that out.
Yeah, thank
Mark,
you. I'm a little bit familiar with that.
Mark, I also have one more item, which is on my my media team slide here. So I jumped to the medium team slide. So in our CCL Houston newsletter, I actually always include a section about which includes details on green jobs. And I'm going to go to that right now just to point it out. So in the table of contents, down at the bottom in the student and youth action information, there's actually a link here, which is called a Climate and Sustainability Jobs Forum, which is a CCL website. And I'm going to click on that. And this is a CCL Climate Jobs Forum with details about various miscellaneous green type jobs. Details are here. So that's another opportunity as well.
All right, I appreciate it.
Mark,
yeah, I believe that's all I have, Joe.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead.
Mark, this is Jenny. I was going to say that this forum that Courtney is going to, it's a hydrogen presentation, and it's sponsored by Texas Climate Jobs, which is an offshoot of the Texas AFL-CIO. And hopefully, I'm looking for their website. Should throw in the chat, but they focus on blue collar green jobs, and so that's also a possibility. I'll see if I can find the website, throw it in the chat feature, and hopefully Courtney can come back with more information when she comes back from her presentation. So,
yeah, that's very helpful. That this coordinator, Maria, said that's what she's looking forward to present on, because the people that she's speaking with often work in those kind of jobs in refineries.
Mark, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
This is Roger. I got my internet went down right when you started talking about the Maria. There's a lot that happened this last week that I was in the middle of. I just was going to, I'm not sure you know the latest on, it's April 20th at College Station, CCL. We're going to have a meeting up there, and the focus is going to be on Catholic students, but it's going to be ecumenical, all students. And right now it looks like the venue is going to be St. Mary's Church, which is right on campus, but that's not been confirmed because, believe it or not, it has to be approved by the bishop. But we've arranged to get Dr. Phil Sakimoto, who I think you all know through a presentation. He's done a couple of things for CCL, and Joe had him for a meeting, I don't know, 6-8 months ago. I can't remember. He's going to be the headline speaker, and I'm supposed to speak as well. And then the Laudato Si movement is going to speak. And it's right now, it looks like it's going to be a fairly large gathering, at least we're hoping it's going to be. And it's going to be around lunchtime with pizza and everything for the students to draw as many as we can. There's a chance that we might not get that venue, and then it'll be
somewhere on campus. But the Laudato Si movement has kicked in quite a bit of money to get this organized. So CCL will actually be kind of the co-sponsor. But that's all happened in the last week, and so there's still details to be worked. And and Maria's involved, and Linda Sandish, who's kind of the Texas coordinator for the Laudato Si movement, is leading, and I'm helping her as best I can.
Yeah, that sounds wonderful, very encouraging, and I hope it goes well. I think we'll be at Discovery Green that day.
Yeah, I saw that. I mean, that's just when I got kicked out. I saw that the dates are going to be on top of each other. But anyway, and we're hoping to get this advertised across the Archdiocese of Houston. It's going to be open to the public, and it may be streamed as well. And if we get the venue that we want, it has 200. I mean, it's a dream to get 200 people to attend this. I think 100 might not be that far off what we might get, but it kind of depends. But yeah, it's too bad that we'll have that. But that's Earth Day weekend, so it's going to be a lot of stuff going on.
Roger, if it is streamed and if you're able to get access to the video afterwards, the web link to it, we can at least post the web link and the recording on our Third Coast site. So that'd be very good. Right,
and I'll put information out there as it gets nailed down. So I'll put something out like on the forums with information if anybody wants to go up there.
Great.
Plus the streaming information.
All right. One more thing I just wanted to mention while we're still on Mark's slide here about the Earth Day on April 20th. This is our largest tabling event of the year. And it's a lot of fun to be out there at the Discovery Green Park. I'm not sure if everybody has been out there, but it's a really nice park in the middle of downtown Houston, and lots of people going by, and it's just a really, really fun event. So it's a really great thing to get out there and just help out to man our table. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Go on to the next slide. And so for the media team, I'm the leader of the media team. And one of the big things that we do is we publish our CCL Houston newsletter every month. And everyone who's a member of the Houston CCL chapter or Woodlands or any of our local metro area chapters like Lake City or Katy, any of those, you should be already receiving our newsletter every month. If you're not, it might be stuck in your spam box perhaps, or you can drop me a line if you're not getting it. I'll just open it again really quickly to show you this is what it looks like. It always has our meeting invitation information at the top for the next meeting coming up. And then there's lots and lots of things in here. We have a large table of contents, which starts off with our CCL events and news that people should be aware of. And then towards the bottom, we go into current news events that are related to the climate in some way or the environment, and just all kinds of interesting climate related news articles. So it's a really kind of a neat thing to look at, and hopefully everybody is getting that. Okay, let me go back to where I was. And then we did previously have a good presence on social media, Twitter, which is now X, and Facebook, but we're looking for anyone who might be interested in helping with social media to jump in and help out with that if anybody has an interest. And then the other big thing that the media team does when there are people that are interested in writing letters to the editor and submitting them to the local newspaper, that's another big activity. But we're always looking for new volunteers to help out in that area. Any questions from anyone about the media team? All right, I'm going to go on, and Dory, chapter development.
Thank you. I lead this chapter development. It's a lovely little chapter where we send a welcome email or give a call to say welcome. And I don't know, we have 3 at first time. Yes, first time meeting folks. And I thought maybe we take a minute, since we actually have time today, to go popcorn and say your name, your location if you want, and what brings you to this meeting? Like what triggered that coming to this meeting? That would be what I want to hear. And I don't know who else online. So Joe, you can maybe popcorn that, but I'll start here in the room.
Dory, before we
yeah.
do that, is there anything else on your slide that you want to cover? I noticed at the bottom you have a Solar United Neighbors activity, but I think that might be old.
Yeah, I didn't update the slide. So I did want to say, here's what I want to say is I am transitioning east towards my grandchildren. And so there's room for more chapter development work. And so I want to put that out there, and it's very simple. I put together a 5-step process. So now you can stop sharing the slide.
Okay, very good. All right, go ahead, proceed, Dory, please.
Okay, so and we're just going to do new. We're not going to go to the old, but realize you're here with some veterans. We've been here a long time. All right, so Leonard, start with you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Leonard Parker. Pleasure to be here with you, based in Sugar Land. And what brings me to the meeting, just wanted to connect with like-minded individuals here locally.
Thank you.
Great meeting you.
Dory, for the people in the room, if they could maybe stand up in front of the camera so we can actually see them. Otherwise, they look very, very tiny and can't really see who's speaking.
Here, we'll do a cameo. Stand up. Yeah, you scoop back, John. So I think that works. So yeah, Leonard, we can see you in there.
Hi, everyone. Leonard Parker here again.
We can see you now. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Hi, Scott Wingo. I'm from Galveston, and basically kind of like Leonard, trying to connect with people who have some similar interests.
So
thank you for joining.
Yeah,
on Friday.
Okay.
Hi, Sean Leader. I'm in Spring Branch. I'm here a little bit because of we passed Prop B, which is about kind of like infrastructure here in Houston and about having more proportional representation there. And I was wanting to see what we're doing here to make sure that the new developments in transportation that are going to be more Houston locally led or led just by the people in general are more environmentally focused. We don't need to keep doing cars. Why don't we put some trains? I love trains. I think about it all the time. It should be a train. Should be able to get there. I lived in DC, and it was just life changing how much nicer the public transit is. And I guess also I want to kind of I'm doing some stuff for the hostile takeover HISD. I mean, it would be nice that we have this public infrastructure that we could use it to be more green. I mean, we could have compost there. I remember at Pershing Middle, we had one. I don't know if they took it away, but their necessity for uniformity means that unless every school, all 270 have a compost, in their mind, it would be inefficient for any. So that kind of stuff I'm thinking about. And then I guess what really started my advocacy again, because I was pretty advocate. I was bigger than COVID again, went for more mental health. I guess it would be just in general, what's happening in Palestine and Gaza means that I felt like we have to do more as people, as good working people that care about the community. You can't just sit back on even just your past accomplishments, those things of that nature. So those would be the catalyst of what brought me back, and then just things that brought me here more specifically because of I worked on trying to get people to go to Prop B and Prop A with it. I'm with Houston DSA as well.
DSA stands for
Democratic Socialists of America. It's your local socialists, which obviously all care about the environment, because we live in it. You think it's important, stuff like that. But I don't know. I liked what y'all had to say or what y'all were on your website. I was wanting to hear more. That's why I'm here.
Well, thank you so much. I just want to provide some good feedback on some of the things you mentioned, and thank you for coming to our meeting. We recognize, the first thing I want to say is that we recognize that there are so many other issues going on in our environment and different organizations and different groups. And so for the people that are volunteers, members of this particular group, Citizens Climate Lobby, one of the things that we sort of acknowledge is that we can't do everything. We only have a limited amount of time. And so for ourselves in particular, we're really laser focused on our climate advocacy. And that's what we really focus on, really compared to everything else. And so, but we, thank you for joining. And if you do want to really get plugged in and help out with our climate advocacy, we can definitely, find a spot for you to work with us.
I was actually I was thinking about when you had a liaison for each district. Do you have a liaison for the HGAC, the Houston Galveston Area Council, that is what the Prop B was about that we allowed, because it used to be where each municipality got one vote. So all of Houston had one vote. So they were just making things on the outskirts, highways, how to transport people in. But do we have a liaison to that?
So
That's
that's another good question, and that falls into our lobbying area. And so we do have a separate CCL chapter in Galveston. There's a Galveston chapter, and so they also do have liaisons specifically for Galveston. But again, the purpose and the real function of our liaisons is to interact between ourselves and our elected representatives at the U.S. federal level. That means our House representatives and our U.S. senators. We're trying to get more involved at the local state level, but I don't think our Galveston chapter would have any links or liaisons working directly with the Galveston City Council, for example. Dorian, did we cover everybody?
The area council is for Harris County and its surrounding counties. So it encompasses all of Houston, Montgomery, Galveston, Fort Bend, all the little ones, everything that touches Harris County, basically.
And so maybe it's a grassroots rather than the.
Yeah, it's grassroots.
I mean, grass tops, excuse me, grass tops. So you're asking, and we can talk to court about the idea of going to HCAG as a, finding out whether we can have influence there. So I hear you.
Thank you. It's just something that was a big change recently, and like we could actually make big change. We could stop like the highway expansions, or like it is something that has moved very positively for us in the last few months.
Yeah,
So and we love wins, in my opinion. Yeah.
Thank you. Dory, did we cover everybody there in person?
Yeah, I don't know. I'll leave it to you to see if there's new online.
Okay. Just taking a quick look here. So Lori, I believe you might be new. I don't know if I've seen you before at a meeting. Yeah, please go ahead and just introduce yourself and, how did you hear about us and what you're interested in terms of climate?
Okay, I'm Laurie Cardella. I'm a retired grandma, and I met you all in Montgomery at one of your table things about a year ago. And I'm really trying to see where I can plug in, what I can do. I need more people close or locally, and I really want to make a contribution. And so I think this is going to help me see what's out there and what y'all are doing. So thank you.
You're welcome. From the information we've shared so far, do you have any feeling on what you might be interested in helping with?
I think I still need an overall view, but things like I don't know, it's all interesting, really. It's all exciting. I haven't zeroed in yet.
Dory, maybe if I might ask you if you have some time, if maybe you could directly connect with Lori and just try to share more information.
Yeah, Lori, remind me your last name again?
Cardella, Cardella.
All right, I'll give you a call.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Lori, for joining our meeting. Go ahead,
Could I ask
Roger.
a question? Laurie, did you say you're from Montgomery or are you from Houston?
No, I live in Kingwood.
Okay.
So I don't know if you have a presence there, but
We do.
oh, good. Good.
And so that you're kind of like you might be between two, Joe's group and our group up here at North Houston. Do you know if you voted for? Was Crenshaw the representative on the ballot the last time you voted?
Yes.
Okay, so you are actually in our chapter.
Okay.
All right, so I won't be. Roger will.
Yeah. So we will. I made a note of your name and everything, and so we'll reach out to you. And Bob Jones typically does that, but if he doesn't, I will do that.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Roger. That reminded me. I just want to add one more feedback item that everybody in the local metro area, regardless of where you're physically located, whether it's the Woodlands or Galveston, Kingwood, wherever, everybody is welcome to join our Houston meetings. And then you may also want to get more involved with the Woodlands chapter on more specific items, but everybody is always welcome to join our meeting here.
which we all do, because our chapter joins Joe because he runs such a good meeting. So
thank you, with a lot of help from everybody. I see another person that I think is new. It's Juana Mahaya, if I pronounce that right.
Yes, it's Mejia, but I actually am located in the Houston area, and I joined the Citizens Climate Lobby just because I was interested in, what's going on and what the organization provides.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. And from the meeting here today, have you seen anything of particular interest you might want to get plugged in and start helping out?
Locally, I'm open to helping out. I did see the Earth Day event you have going on in April, and I'm interested to volunteer and see what's going on.
Excellent. So Mark will be the contact for that. If you want to put your email in the chat, and maybe Mark can follow up with you directly.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
Joe?
Yeah.
Joe, this is Dory. I forgot one thing to say, which is next month, part of the transition to my East Coast is next month, we're going to be meeting at a different location. And so that's to be determined. It's getting pretty close what we know, but so look for the email about, or look in the newsletter for the new location for next month.
Yeah, thank you, Dory, for mentioning that. And I was going to mention about that also. Right now, we're researching. We have several different possible locations for in-person meetings, and we're still trying to finalize exactly which one that will be and the details. But I think we're getting close on making that decision. So everything will be included in our next newsletter, our next monthly newsletter, and you'll receive that in time to be able to attend the meeting if you're able to. Roseanne, you have your hand up. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, yes, for the new people, just to get a summary of things that have been going on in the news and a little bit of beauty and a few jokes, I post on the Citizens Climate Lobby, CCL Texas, the Woodlands Facebook page, and I keep it going. So we've gone from 9 followers to 553 or something. So we keep it engaging. We read the newspaper. I was the one who sent the front page of the Houston Chronicle to the office when CCL was quoted. Ben Pendergrass was posted in there because we read early in the morning and we send around, and I post on there. So if you just want to get an overview of current events that are in the news about climate, that's a good resource without digging into all the various rich information that CCL offers as trainings.
Roseanne, feel free to put the name of that into the chat if you'd like to.
Okay.
All right, Roger, go ahead.
Yeah, I got bumped out. So if you were talking about upcoming activities, are you through that now, or is this a good time?
Yeah, we've completed our agenda, so this is just kind of like an open discussion. Feel free to go ahead.
Okay. So this just came up on Friday, as a matter of fact, and we've been working on this for a while. Leo has been on the lead with Bob Jones, but we are going to have a meeting at the HARC facility, Houston Area Research Center, I think is what HARC stands for. We used to have our meetings there, but that's pre-COVID. But they have here in the Woodlands, and I'm not sure it's still the case, but there's a LEED construction, LEED designation for buildings, and I think there's different levels, and I believe they're the first LEEDs in the area, and I think they're platinum level, which is the highest level you can get. They're going to give us a tour on Thursday, March 7th, and it's a beautiful, beautiful facility. And it's very, very interesting because we had a tour before, or closer to when it opened, but it's completely 100% sustainable and self-powered. That has solar panels on top. They have a number, I think 12 or 20 wells around that they have tied into a heat pump at the facility. They monitor every electron that goes in and out of that place. And it was really interesting because early on they were trying to figure out, they had some spurious electricity use, and they had figured out that they had a light on in their elevator, and they turned that off. If everything is automated and tied into a network. Anyway, it's a fascinating tour, and it's Thursday, March 7th, 6 to 7:30 p.m. There will be more information coming out. If you live in towards the North Houston side, or even if you want to come up from Houston, it's a really worthwhile. And so keep an eye on. That's another question. I do send out things by email but mostly through the forums. Do you all see those? Because I'm just kind of particularly cocktails and conversation. I'll probably follow the same kind of format. So do you see those advertisements for cocktails and conversation? We do get a pretty good, I see a number of people here that do attend, so I'm assuming that you do get an opportunity to see it. But are they getting to you?
You're referring to the email that gets sent out?
Email and the forums. Maybe some people, you have to
So
kind of sign into the forum.
I do receive the email. I'm not sure what you're referring to by the forum.
So when you join like Third Coast, you have you can opt into, it's like a blog. And whenever
you're talking about the your CCL website page for the Woodlands, I believe. Is that what you're referring to?
I put it out on yours as well. I can put those out there on the forums, and I do. So I guess most people, you have to sign into that though. So you do see the emails, but you don't see the forums unless you sign up for them.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Oh, Roger, you want to put your information about that event into the chat?
I don't have it yet. I mean, other than the date, we just got this Friday afternoon from Bob Jones.
Okay, all right. Larry, you have your hand up. Why don't you go ahead?
Yeah, I was just going to say that on February 24th, I'm going to give a presentation on the IRA and how you can get tax rebates, and hopefully the SECO part of the state will have an agenda how you get rebates, but that they still haven't decided yet as of Friday this week. So at any rate, that's
you have details about the event, how people can join if they're interested?
It's College Station at Larry Ringwald Library at 11:30, but
got it.
You have to be in person, and we're going to have a number of vendors there that sell cars and EVs. And
one more thing, Larry, for the newer folks here that are not really completely plugged into what we're doing, maybe you want to expand and explain what the IRA is and the purpose for it.
It's the Inflation Reduction Act, which is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, control of greenhouse gases that we've ever had. Mostly it's geared towards methane reduction, but it also, there's part of it, the HERO Act, HEEHRA, which is rebates and income tax credits, tax credits that you get for installing heat pumps and heat pumps for your water heater, heat pumps for your dryer, electric induction stoves, things like that, and winterizing your house through the Homes Act. So there's various parts of the IRA, which is the Inflation Reduction Act, which was a big emphasis that CCL had a couple of years ago, was pass this IRA, and it was passed, and now various parts of it, of the IRA, the Inflation Reduction Act, apply to individuals that are upgrading their house.
Larry, if that presentation is recorded, I don't know if it is, but maybe you can get us a web link. We can post it online.
Yeah, it's in person only because we're going to have a bunch of vendors there, but I don't know if it's going to be
possibly.
Yeah, if it's recorded, I'll send it to you.
Got it. Roger, this one is for you. Lori put into the chat that she may be interested in the Lodato C project or a presentation. Maybe you can provide more details on how she can attend that and get linked into that.
Okay. Once again, that's kind of in progress. I don't have details yet, but we do have a date. It's the April 20th, and it's going to be around the lunch period, a 2-hour time slot. And as that gets more information, I will put that out. I tend to put more things, well, when it's general information, I tend to put those in the forums because I don't like loading people's emails up. But if you, this is Lori. Okay. Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. So I will be contacting you anyway. And by the way, Lori, if you are Catholic, we do have a Catholic action team within CCL. I'm kind of one of the co-leads on that. And that's a very active team. We have monthly meetings with about 20 people coming. So I can fill you in on that as well. I'll instead of Bob Jones contacting you, I will contact you personally.
Okay, and one more thing. Let's see, I know that Marco was wondering, how do we get to the forums that you're referring to? I can share my screen and go into the website and kind of give a quick demo of that. And Roger, if you were thinking of something else in mind,
yeah,
please go ahead. But I'm going to share my screen now.
Let me put a plug in for the forums. I mean, some of them are very inactive. Most people don't post much on those, but there's one called the Nerd Forum. And if you're into, like, if you're a geek, and I'll classify myself in that category, they have fascinating discussions where people that are pretty much experts provide information on any topic you can imagine. Someone will bring up I don't know. Larry is kind of our in-house scientist engineer that I go to for a lot of questions. But there's things like, if you want to know more about particular, like the role of water vapor in computational models. If you want to know about some of the recent publications and some really good videos, or maybe some TED Talks and things like that, the Geek Forum, or not the Geek Forum, the Nerd Corner is one that's really good. And then that we have 50 plus action teams, and I'm guessing there's probably 20 or so that have forums that are active, and the Catholic Action Team does as well, as a matter of fact. So that's just kind of a plug there.
So yep. So I'm sharing my screen. I'll give a really quick demo of the CCL website. Can everybody see my screen? I think I am sharing. So once you become a member volunteer and you join, this is where you go to log in. And I'm in the CCL website. I'm on the dashboard right now. And so I'll just point out really quickly, lots and lots of resources and training related to climate advocacy, more than you can probably ever finish. There's a topic on everything. Lots of tools, how to write letters to the editor, all kinds of things, the action tracker, CCL roster, and now what Roger was referring to in the connection section here. If you want to connect to any of those action teams that Roger was mentioning, I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And so these are all the action teams that are listed here, organized in different ways. Here's the Nerd Corner that Roger was mentioning. And there are
I'm co-lead of Team Oil, which is the first action team.
That's also an excellent one. If you're interested in what's going on with the CCL, Larry's he's a co-lead of that, so I'll let him talk. But it's a really good one.
Team Oil is here where I have the mouse. These are the industry-related action teams.
But there's lots of teams.
There are faith-based action teams. I think there's probably one for every religion, so nobody's left out. State and international, we have a Texas State Action Team, and other things for skill building for specific topics within CCL and our climate advocacy and other items here. So I'm just, as an example of a forum now, I'm going to go back to where I was in my dashboard and show you the Houston-based forum. The website's being a bit slow. So I have my own groups that I belong to. I'm going to that. I'm going to go to our Houston chapter, clicking on that. And so Roger, I believe this is what you were referring to, that once you're on a particular web page, there's the home page. We have forums, events coming up. So I'm clicking on forums. And so what I typically do after every monthly meeting, I enter a quick entry note here with links to the the slide deck of the agenda and a brief description of what we covered in the previous meeting. There's nothing much then in this particular forum, there's nothing much more than that. But I think, as Roger said, there are other action teams where maybe the forums are a lot more active. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing now.
Can I mention my favorite subgroup?
Please.
It's the beer subgroup. It's an entire program, and there's also a really great single-page document that says, what's the effect of climate change on beer production? And every time I brought these flyers to one of our tabling events, everyone has stopped and said, what? Wait a minute. Okay, clean water and clean air, beer? Oh my God, now it's serious. So anyway, I always found that to be amusing, and I don't think it's been very active recently, but last summer they were going around to different craft brewing places to try and get craft brewing clubs and stuff to sign up with the CCL stuff, and it's just a lot of fun. Anyway,
thank you, Charlie. One last thing before we run out of time. I don't want to keep anyone past our ending time for the meeting, but we do like to have everybody turn on your cameras so I can snap a kind of a group photo before everybody disappears from the meeting. So if you'd like to, if you don't mind, it'd be great to have everybody turn on their camera. And Lana, if you want to turn yours on, it's not required though. Okay, I'm going to count down. What happened to the in-person camera? Oh, there we go. Okay, 3, 2, 1, smile. And let me just make sure that it came out okay. Okay, got a nice one. Thank you, everybody. And again, I hope everyone has a great weekend, and thank you so much for joining our meeting.
And thanks for running it so well. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, Joe. Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.